Hello, everybody, and welcome on into another episode of Sidelines. On today's show, we talk the cross-country championships, we talk the track season coming up, and we review baseball's tough weekend. Should be a good show. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back into Sidelines, and we usually don't have guests back-to-back weeks, but when you have a performance the way Carly Daniels did, we bring him back. Carly, thanks for stopping by.
Oh, thanks for having me again.
So, yeah, let's not bury the lead. Let's talk about the cross-country championship, a all-conference performance. How did it feel?
Well, it was crazy. Honestly, I wasn't expecting that at all, but I remember coming through I think it was 2.5 miles, and coach was like, you have 4 minutes left to go and you're in an all-conference position. And I was like, what? No way. And then it just kind of hit me oh, I got to keep going. I could do this.
So let's walk through that race. The start, obviously, any start of a cross-country meet, let alone a championship race, I'm sure you were worried about it starting out fast. Did it? And then what were the adjustments you made in that first mile?
Yeah, it went out pretty quickly, but coach wanted me right around 5:55 to 6:05, I think, and I was right in that range. So I adjusted well, even though we went out pretty fast. Yeah, I mean, the first mile went by so quickly, but then the second mile, I was like, okay, I gotta, find my groove and get into a flow.
So then that second mile, you mentioned that groove. What is the steps that you take to get in that and to find your pace and to try and continue, especially in a big meet when there's people passing, slowing, and trying to stay steady? What are the challenges of that in that second mile?
Well, my second mile is always the hardest for me mentally. It's always my slowest. So it's something I need to work on, actually, but we always focus on trying to pass people, even if it's just 1 or 2 people each mile after the first one, finding your groove, as in finding a pace you can maintain, but then also working on moving up position-wise. So
yeah, and then you get towards the end, you hear coach say that to you, and you come around that little loop there at the end to the finish. What's going through your head there as you make that final little lap and dart towards the finish?
Oh, just getting across that finish line. That's all I'm thinking about, passing, as many people as I can right at the end. There was 2 girls right by me who definitely put up a good fight for that final position. So that was fun.
Yeah, especially in those last where you see some kicks, you see a lot. How does the mindset change there in that final stretch with, yeah, you don't want to drop anything, but you've put a lot into your race throughout to find that extra energy. What do you have to do to find that energy?
Well, it's just, for me, it's thinking about all the hard work that I've put in, and it's I don't want to lose that position now. If I can see the finish line, then I should keep going and just, search the gas tank for any leftover fuel.
So did it sink in immediately when you crossed the finish line, let alone the time improvement, but the place improvement?
Yes, it kind of hit me then, but my immediate response was, okay, where's the rest of my team? I want to make sure they all get through the line, make sure everybody's okay, nobody's laying on the ground. So that was my first response. And then, once everybody crossed the finish line, coach runs over and he gives me a big hug, and we celebrated then. But
great news to get. And then afterwards, we have the video of your team screaming for you. How did that moment feel for you when the commissioner mentions your name as an all-conference performer? You get that cheer from your team.
It was surreal. It was something I've never experienced before, so it was crazy, but a good crazy, good feel.
So I also want to talk about something we talked about last week, which was that team aspect, and something you said you were looking forward to is then cheering on the men. How did that feel to also be able to watch them their race and be a fan and be a teammate and cheer those guys on?
Oh, it feels so good. I said to Michael, my one teammate, that was a experience that I had like underappreciated before it got taken away. So it was good to be back, you know, waving the flags and losing my voice for my teammates.
Hey, that's always a lot of fun. So now, of course, the gear shifts a little bit as we focus no longer running on grass and now have a hard surface for the track. So what are the steps that you have to take either mentally and physically to prepare for now track meets?
Yeah, we're gonna move into some more like interval work almost, focused on my 10K pace and like for the other girls, their 3K or 5K, whatever they're shooting for this season. And for me, that's staying in my range because, you know, a 10K pace is going to be a little slower than a 5K pace. So during those interval works, I'm going to have to focus on, okay, this pace is going to feel a little slower because it is going to be slower in the race.
Yeah, it's definitely the 10K especially is definitely a huge mental challenge at times. So is there a way to work on that aspect of it as well? So, or is that just along with the pacing that comes the mental point of the 10K?
Yeah, so I've never ran a 10K before. So honestly, I'm a bit inexperienced, but I think that it's focusing on the pacing because, I mean, it's a long race on a track. So you're gonna have to really focus on not going out too hard because you have a long race, but also, you know, maintaining that like a steady state almost.
Hey, should be good. I'm sure you're excited for it.
Yes.
I'm excited for it. And thank you so much. And congratulations
Thank
once
you.
again
Thank you.
for your all-conference performance.
Well, thanks for having me.
And Sidelines continues after this. Do not go anywhere. Welcome back into Sidelines. We now talked track and field as we have head coach Jamal Johnson at the desk. Thank you so much for taking out the time.
Thank you for having me, Drew.
Well, it's finally coming up here, our first meet of the year. I want to first talk a little bit about, you had a chance to go down to the cross country championships and see some pretty good performances. Do you think from your perspective, that's going to be a difficult transition to go from that cross country mindset to a track and field mindset?
For me as a coach, no, because I've kind of been working with the track athletes only. But I think from an athlete perspective, it won't really affect them too much because it was just one cross country meet. And they've kind of been training for track this whole way, and then the cross country meet is kind of just a 5K out of nowhere on grass. So they've kind of been training just for regular track season. I think, I know some things are going to change a little bit as far as distance and everything, but for the most part, they'll be the same.
And from your vantage point, some performances, for example, Carly Daniels, just the step that she made. When you see a performance like that, especially early in the season, and yeah, like you said, it's a 5K on grass and not what you expect, but to see a jump like that, what does that do to you as a coach, or what mindset does that give you?
It's great for not just me, but not just for her either, but for the entire program. Because our program is filled with underclassmen. We only have a handful of juniors, maybe 1 or 2 seniors, and the rest are just freshmen and sophomores. So to see the jump that she made from 2 years ago is uh, outstanding, to be honest. I mean, from 143rd finishing in the conference championship 2 years ago to 18th now it's kind of unreal to be honest. It is. And that just goes to show you that the type of coach that Coach Roll is, and also the type of dedication it takes to make that jump.
So let's talk this weekend. First meet coming up at Lock Haven. What are the things you focus on this practice week leading to that first meet? What kind of things changes? What are the things you focus on getting ready for a meet?
Yeah, it is meet week, and but we are definitely using this as a rust buster. I am certainly looking at this one as just to shake the cobwebs out. It's been 2 years since we've had our last outdoor track meet, so I am not expecting anything off the charts. If it happens, it happens. But I'm certainly just trying to get in a race or two and get through it healthy. I have Madison Fox doing high jump, Riley doing pole vault, Tegan Anderson, she's going to be doing just a 100-meter dash. Michael Bills, who's a football player here, he'll just be doing a 100-meter dash. Henry, Victor, Sean, and Terrence will all be doing a 100-meter dash and a 4x4. So those Sean and Terrence really don't run the 100-meter dash, but like I said, I just want to throw everything out there at one time, and like I said, I just want to be able to shake some cobwebs off and get them running again.
So yeah, you mentioned what do you have to do then as a coach to prepare your kids in terms of that mentality? You mentioned it. It's been 2 years since they last had an outdoor meet. Luckily they had the indoor season to not be that far since they had a meet, but to try and not only help them shake off the cobwebs, but make sure that they don't get too over excited for those. Where's the challenge and the balance there?
I let them know that, and I don't want this to sound bad, but really nothing at this point matters. Everything at the end of the season matters to me. Because you can go out and Henry can run 10, 6, and 100 on Saturday, but if he doesn't do it, in April or May or late April and early May, then it really doesn't mean anything. So we're just gonna, from my perspective, I'm just gonna kind of train through these early meets. Granted, we have been blessed with some great weather this week. I wasn't expecting that, so they are getting a little bit excited. They want to run a little bit faster in practice, but we still have to understand that a meet in March will really have any effect of what we do later in the season.
So, Coach, I also want to talk, because we've mentioned that this is the first time as a coach you've had a track that is your own to work on. So, what are the advantages, truthfully, of being able to have that from your perspective?
So many advantages. On Mondays are my long days. I have a practice at 11:30. I have a practice at 2:15, and then we go to the weight room. That's something I've never been able to do as a coach. And when I kind of did it at USI, I was just like, we were hopping a fence at a high school, and in between practices, I would just sit in my car because I didn't want to leave the facility. And the students had different classes, and they had to leave campus to go to that track. So this is much better. I can leave my equipment there. I can just roll it out on the track. This is the little things, some things that some coaches have never had to worry about in their career. I can just roll the blocks out right there. I can get medicine balls, sleds, the high jump mat is there. I don't have to worry about, putting it up or, anything like that every single day. So it's been fantastic.
Yeah, the other thing that is important too is, we mentioned with the cross country meet this past week, the importance of the relationship you and Coach Roll have going forward and finding that balance and still having, you have a distance group and a track and field group, but you still mesh as a team. How important is that relationship with you and Coach?
It is extremely important because he has told me a few times that the coaches, I guess other coaches on the staff, they haven't had the best relationship. So just me, or for us to, I guess, for the athletes to see that the coaches have, a good relationship, that kind of makes everything better. It makes the overall feel of the team much better. And also it helps with recruiting as well. I mean, recruits come on campus and they see that both coaches are, having great dialogue and conversation, and they're introducing all the coaches on the staff on their recruiting visits. It's been really good so far.
Well, Coach, looking forward to this weekend. I'm sure you are too. And thank you so much for taking the time and coming on.
Thank you very much.
And Sidelines continues after this. Do not Welcome back into Sidelines. Joining me at the desk to talk baseball, Dylan Mercedes, Tyler Melko. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
So it's interesting because we are back. We were finally back on our field, but you guys both as really newcomers to Mansfield. It was your first time with a game on that field. How did it feel to finally play a home contest?
Luckily, I had some experience coming in. I played for the Destroyers 2 years ago, so I had a little bit of experience coming in, but it was definitely nice to kind of be back in my community and play in front of some people that have seen me play before. So it was special.
To be honest, it was a fun time being a freshman, being new to the program and everything. I just want to get on the field and just ball out, have fun with it. Not much to it. The game's already complicated as it is, so what I like to do when I get on the field, just have fun, make it simple.
Absolutely. And Tyler, I want to touch on that point. Local kid, you come back here to your home area, as you mentioned. How special is that for you to be able to come back and have your senior season kind of at home?
Well, for the first 4 years of my career, I mean, I guess 1 year doesn't really count. I've been at least 3.5 hours away, so for my parents and my family to actually be able to come and watch the majority of my games, I mean, I think that's really what's most special to me. Some of the fans that I had in high school and stuff, I mean, it's nice to see them there too and catch up with people I haven't seen in years, so it's pretty special.
And Dylan, really, you're in the opposite boat, kind of coming here. So how has it been like for you, especially because your senior year of high school, you got kind of robbed from you as well.
Yeah.
What is it like to come to college and start to get things going?
It's just a new chapter in life. High school's over, so once I came into college, I knew, like, I'm playing against all grown men now. It's not young boys that don't have experience playing baseball. I'm playing against a lot of potential draftees, a lot of big league and stuff like that, playing against good competition. So the adjustment from being a city kid to somewhere like Mansfield, it wasn't that much of a change because, like, city life, it could get distracting sometimes because, like, a lot going on. But since I'm here, I'm just only focused on school and baseball, and the baseball aspect of it just made it easier.
Yeah, so you mentioned the tough competition we faced. Well, we had the gauntlet here, the first couple of series for you guys in this conference. Let's talk about this past week specifically. East Stroudsburg, a tough matchup there at there. Let's go back to Saturday. What were some of the things that you guys saw in those games?
You want to talk about an experienced pitching staff? ESU has it. They got 4 dudes that throw low 90s. They have over 100 college innings under their belt. So it's tough competition. I don't think it's anything that we can't handle, but obviously we didn't get the results that we were looking for this weekend, but I think we still got some good things out of it. As far as their bats go, I mean, their right fielder, he played right and left. I played with him in junior college, so I kind of knew what he was bringing to the table, and I mean, he went off this weekend. I mean, he came into the weekend, I think he was 1 for 25, and I think he had 12 or 14 RBIs against us. So that's just kind of the caliber baseball that we have to play here. So
I agree with Tyler on the experienced pitching staff. Like, as you can see with the pitchers in ESU, they had no worries about being on the mound. Talking about kids that throw mid to lower 90s and they're just there pumping it like it's easy. But their bats, they just executed the little things that we didn't do. They took advantage of situational hitting, making us pay for our mistakes, and they just became the better team throughout the games. But it wasn't nothing surprising. Despite them being like a number 8 ranked team, I feel like we were still up there with them. If you look at how we lost, it's like we was there with them all game. It's just the little things that like become big things overall.
And then shifting gears to Monday, being back home, having that day of rest that you normally don't get, how much of an impact do you think that does have on you guys to have that day that usually doesn't come with the schedule?
I think you saw it in the first couple innings. I mean, we came out with a force. I mean, we put up runs in the first inning of both games. Guys were juiced. They were ready to go, and you know, the one bad inning each game kind of plagued us from there on. So
Day of rest just gave us that day to get back to the drawing boards and fix what we got to fix. Because to be honest, ESU was a team that we knew we could be. So that one day of rest, we had the time to be like, all right, if we get this guy out, we'll be good. If we execute on this pitch, we'll be all right. So it's just the little things that we got to pick up on that day off. But unfortunately, the results wasn't how we wanted it, but it was still a good experience to learn how we could go on for the rest of the season.
And Tyler, I mean, nothing to scoff at. You had quite that first game, being able to get 2 over the fence. How do you feel in a game like that when you're working on all cylinders, when you connect with the bat? How can you use that, or what do you have to do to try and use that as momentum for the rest of the team?
I just want to do my job at the end of the day. I've never been an I guy. You know, I had a good day yesterday, but we still came out with 2 losses. So I'm not happy. I'm not going to be happy until we start winning ball games. So I hope that I can be a spark plug. I hope that at some point during the year that I'm making an impact on these guys in a positive way and that we start winning ball games.
And then I guess I'll say the opposite to you. When you have a teammate who has a good game like that, what do you guys have to do to try and feed off that energy?
It's just like, well, with me with Melko, is like me and him, I like picking his brain a lot. So after having that type of day, you just go to him and talk to him like, all right, what's your approach on this at bat? Like, what would you think about in this at bat? Just the little things. And I feel like people should just feed off of that type of energy. Like, when he hit that home run, you could see in the crowd, we was all hype. So I feel like if we could execute and go off that energy, we'll be all right the rest of the season.
So this upcoming week, no game for this week. So what are the things you guys are going to focus on in practice before we get back to the swing of things next week?
I think we need to focus on the little things. One of the big mottos that I've kind of learned throughout my career is no distractions, take care of the little things. We're losing ball games because we're not taking care of the little things. It's not necessarily, you know, getting hits. We've been getting hits, but we're not hitting with runners on base. We're not covering bunts well. We're not running the bases well. So just knowing the situations and taking care of those little things is what's going to really get us over the hump.
And it all starts with practice. We execute the little things in practice, help it translate to the game. I feel like we should just treat every game like as a practice, to do the little fundamental things, and we'll be fine.
All right, guys. Well, looking forward to next time you take the field. And thank you so much for taking the time and coming on the show.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having us.
And Sidelines continues after this.
What characteristics exemplify a Mansfield Mountaineer? Dedicated, motivated, unified, together. From the tops of the peak to the deep valleys, Mounties stand together. That truth has never changed, and that truth will never change. Though things may be done differently, we still stand strong. 250 student athletes, 13 programs, one mountain, one season.
That's going to do it for us, folks. To stay up to date on all things Mansfield Athletics, head over to GoMounties.com. We will see you next week.